Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's task or goal is to get this oil cooler installed on the front end of the car. Now the reason I ended up doing this is because after installing the two gauges for temperature and pressure, I noticed that the car runs ridiculously hot. And when I say hot, I'm saying like cruising speeds on the highway, doing maybe 70, 80 miles an hour. This thing's sitting at like 230, maybe even more sometimes, if it's hot enough outside, which obviously is concerning. Part of the reason, or part of what I think is attributing to it, I have a feeling, looking at my exhaust and the way it kind of just stays black, that the car is running rich, which might be adding to the temperature of the motor in itself, just dumping too much gas. But we're gonna go ahead and get this thing installed and see how much it helps. Now, I did get this kit overall mostly from eBay. From what I've heard, this cooler is a really good cooler. It does work well for the price. I have heard that the lines are hit or miss. We are going to try to use them, but we'll keep an eye on them to see if they do leak. But the sandwich plate that comes with this kit apparently is a great big leak risk. So instead of even installing it and waiting to see, I ended up getting a different thermostatic plate from Chase Bays. Now the reason I went with this one was because this was one of the only sandwich plates I could find that had two 1/8 NPT ports. And if you guys remember from the last video when I did the actual the gauge install, I did run an individual port for each sensor. So I wanted to kind of keep that going the same way. But the only downfall I would say here was that Chase Base took about 3 weeks to get this thing out. It wasn't in their out of stock list. It was in stock according to them. So I'm not entirely sure why it took so long. But yeah, so there's that. We're gonna go ahead, get the bumper off the car. Well, get the car up in the air. I'll probably put it on the ramps, get the front bumper off. I've got to take off the aluminum tray so I can get the bumper off completely, and I've probably got to disconnect the underglow from the front bumper as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that, and then we'll start mapping out the install for this. Now I did have a couple brackets already. I had like spare bracket pieces laying around, so I did kind of mock up a top bracket, but I don't know for sure that this is kind of how it's gonna sit on the bumper or on the frame or however I install it. So this was just a thought for now, but once I actually get the bumper off and put it in place and mock it up the way it needs to be, this obviously might change. But let me go ahead, get the car in the air, get the bumper off, and get things started. Alright guys, so made some progress. Obviously we got the bumper and everything off. That took me just a little while because the wheels are on, so I couldn't really get under the fender and behind the bumper to get the screws out. And also because I had to disconnect the under tray and my underglow that's connected to the front bumper. But now I just finished mapping out where the oil cooler is going to sit, and I actually just installed it in that one spot. So initially, as you can see from the holes here, I tried to hang it in this spot here because it would leave it right in front of the vent for the cutouts on the Nismo bumper, but unfortunately the edge of it was hitting the bumper, so the bumper wouldn't go back. So what I was able to do was get it mounted behind the crash bar, and it's actually in a nice spot. It's got a little bit of a wiggle because I don't have a brace to hold it from the bottom. I'll try to figure something out, but that'll be after. For now though, it's in a nice spot, and I think the stiffness of the AN hoses will kind of keep it still anyway. But yeah, we were able to take those brackets I had and actually screw them into the back of the crash bar. Was able to do that with this piece of magic right here. If you don't have one of these, I suggest getting one. It's like a right angle connection for a torque driver. Sorry, a torque, yeah, whatever, torque driver. But it makes it easy to get into tight spots, like if you're working on something under the car and you don't necessarily have the space for all of that. Yeah, anyway, that's how I was able to get those in there back on the back of this. So the next thing I'm gonna do is tie the hoses off on the top. Obviously I've gotta get some oil in there. I do have about 3 quarts of 540 back there, so I'm gonna get a funnel and put some oil. I think it takes like half a quart, maybe a little bit more. So we'll fill up the oil cooler, get the lines on, and try to figure out how those are gonna run. And once the lines are in place, then I'll come under here and start messing with the filter and getting the old sandwich plate and everything off. So back to it. Alright guys, so I've pretty much got the AN lines figured out in terms of like how they're gonna run. So right now they're just dangling here. The way that they're gonna probably sit, they'll probably sit a little low, but at least I'll have the under tray here to kind of support them and protect them a little bit. So what I'm actually doing right now, I don't want to drain the oil because this oil has probably only got a couple 100 miles on it. So I'm not going to drain the oil yet. I'm just going to take the filter off and let whatever drains out of the filter fall out. And then once the filter is off and everything drains, I'll go ahead and take off the glow shift sandwich plate that we had under here. And I'll take the sensors out of that. And then I'll bring the chase bays one down here and start kind of reinstalling everything back to how it was. The only thing I am waiting for is I ordered another Wix filter. Amazon's supposed to be bringing it today. I just don't know what time. So that's the one thing we'll probably be waiting for. So once I get that in place, the next thing I'll probably do is take off one of these lines and fill the cooler up with oil. Put the line back on, and that way the only thing we should be waiting for later would be for the filter to come. We'll slap that on there and let the car run just for a bit, maybe a minute or two, let it settle, and then check oil levels and add oil as needed. Because again, aside from what's going in the filter, the lines are going to need oil in them too. I don't know how much that's going to pull out of what's in the motor. Obviously not a whole lot, but I just want to make sure that I'm not running low on oil in here. So I'm going to go ahead, take this off, get started with this, and start swapping everything out, and we'll check back in at that point. Alright, so we've got the chase bay sandwich plate on. I did have to change the angle of it though, because the wire for the pressure sensor is a bit short. So while I would have liked to have these pointing a little bit more further down, I did have to kind of twist it a bit. So this was the only way I could get it to fit because of the sensors being on opposite ends, whereas on the glow shift one they were pretty much right next to each other. And then also because of the thermostat that's on here now, because it is a thermostatic sandwich plate, it was hitting this little bracket that's under the alternator. So this was a position that worked for me. Before I locked it in, I did have to go and double check, and luckily the angle on the AN line is just enough to clear this. It's not, you know, if it was any wider or anything, I might not have had space, but that's all good. So what I'm gonna do is probably get these on here like this and try to kind of bend them in a way where I can leave access to the oil pan to drain for when I have to do my oil changes and such. I might just take a zip tie and like hold this here onto the sway bar just to keep it up. But that's essentially where we are right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these lines connected on this end. And then I'll go to the top and we'll take off one of the lines here and use a funnel and pour some oil into the cooler. Then all we've got to wait for after that is for the filter to come whenever Amazon decides to show up. But that's where we are, guys. Almost done. Alright, so this is probably the smallest funnel that I have. Doesn't really fit this, but we're gonna try our best to get some oil in there without spilling too much of it. We'll just pour really really slowly. So let's see what we can do here. I mean, looking with light, I can see can see the oil level. It's not that far off. I'm gonna try a little bit more. Hopefully I don't spill too much of it. That looks pretty good though. It's like filled right there to the top, so we'll call that full. Obviously we'll get more flow and more travel once the car runs and the oil pump kind of pushes everything around. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean this up, get the lines back on here, get them on tight. And once the lines are on, I'm gonna go ahead, because the only thing we're waiting for right now is the oil filter. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the bumper and everything else back on properly. I do need to drill an extra hole because that side of the under tray is only held onto the bumper by 2 screws. I'm gonna try to put one more in there. Let's see what that does, just to keep it stable. And then I've also got to get my underglow lines run back up towards the battery. So I'm gonna go ahead, get that done. Okay, so before I finish tightening everything up under here, like I said, I'm still waiting for that oil filter, but I'm just putting everything back kind of in its place. Less work for when I get, you know, the filter in. But this is pretty much how I ran everything. So you can see the lines are running off to the side. The kit did come with like this little bracket for, it's like a hose clamp, so I did use that to hold them together, and then I put 2 zip ties across the sway bar, so that'll hopefully help keep that up there. But either way, the under tray is going to go up and it'll cover all of that anyway. And then this is pretty much what you can see of the oil cooler. I do wish it was a little bit more canted over to the side, but because of the way the crash bar is mounted, this would be blocking the lines a bit, and I didn't want to mount it upside down. So this will have to do. I think it'll still get a decent amount of airflow through there. And at some point in the future, probably end of the year or something, or early next year, I do want to change this bumper. So yeah, anyway, oil cooler is in. Lines are all run, so right now I'm just mounting the bumper back in place, getting things tidied back up, and we're just waiting for that oil filter to come in. Alright guys, so pretty much everything's mostly back in place. In terms of the bumper, the only thing that needs to go back, I gotta get the screws in on both ends connected to the fender, and just to throw the grill back in. I haven't put the grill on yet, just because once I start the car, I do want to be able to look in here and make sure that there are no leaks from the AN fittings on the oil cooler. But what I'm actually debating right now, because that Amazon delivery is coming even later, it just got delayed, but I'm probably just gonna put back the oil filter that I just took off, instead of waiting for that one, because this is all that I need to kind of get everything going. So I'm probably gonna slap this oil filter right back in, keep the one that's coming for my next oil change, because again, I just did this oil 2-3 weeks ago. This car barely moves. It's maybe got, you know, 600 miles on the oil and on this filter. So we'll go ahead and probably just put this back in. I'm gonna throw some fresh oil inside of the filter, get everything bolted up, get the car back on the ground nice and level, see what the oil dipstick is reading, just to see if it's reading low. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead, start the car up. Once it's started, let it run for just maybe a minute, stop it, let it sit for a while, and recheck the oil level again after everything's kind of circulated a bit to kind of see where it's sitting. So you can go ahead, get this in, and keep everything moving. Got the filter put on. That's on there nice and tight. Everything's kind of routed how it needs to be. Only thing left to do at this point is to go ahead and start the car and just check for leaks. I did just check the oil level. Oil level looks good, which makes sense because obviously nothing's come out of the oil pan. The only oil that I lost was whatever was in the filter housing. So we'll go ahead, start the car, check for leaks, and then we'll lower the car down after we tighten everything up. and we'll check the oil level then to see if there's oil missing anywhere. Alright y'all, so it's the following morning. I ran out of time yesterday. I had to go take care of some stuff, but just came out, started the car. Oil pressure is looking good. I checked at the sandwich plate and I'm not seeing any visible leaks at the moment. Everything's looking all right so far. The thing is that I won't see any flow through the cooling system until the sandwich plate opens, which is not until this thing gets pretty warm. So I'm gonna see if I can get it off the ramps and off the jack, maybe take it out for a drive, but I do still need to finish getting the bumper and everything else back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. At least I know the sandwich plate isn't leaking, and that's kind of independent of the cooling system. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. All right, y'all, gonna take the car out for a quick drive, just to be able to double check those leaks. The thermostat on the sandwich plate is supposed to open up at about 180 degrees, according to Chase Bays. So I'm gonna drive, get the car up to temp, and then when it's at temp, I'm gonna go run outside, open the hood, check and see if I have any leaks anywhere along the AN lines or the oil cooler, just to make sure everything's good. If it's dry, we're good. If anything is loose or otherwise, I've got a wrench with me and I'll try to tighten it if I can. If it's more critical than that, then I'll just have to limp home and yeah, figure it out. But go for a drive, get temps up, and see what's going on. All right, so I went for that drive. Got the car up to, I think it got up to like 185, and I pulled over to check and see, if I saw any visible leaks, and I couldn't see anything at first. And then when I got back in the car, it started, like the temperature started going back up pretty quickly. I don't know if that was kind of the thermostat on the sandwich plate closing, so the temperature went back up. Like, I'm not sure what happened, but either way, I came back to the house, and when I opened the hood, I noticed that there's like a few drips of oil down there. I don't know if you can see that. And while there wasn't any oil on the top, there was oil sitting on that little bracket right there. But I don't know if that's runoff from what I spilled when I was putting oil into the cooler, and that it just got hot and it started running off. So I'm gonna start the car back up because I don't see anything else to my eye that indicates a leak of any sort. So I'm gonna start the car back up, let it warm back up again. I think it's still at like 180 right now, and just kind of watch it and see what happens. All right, so at this point, I can't get the car to replicate what it was doing when I was driving. So I did wipe up that oil that was around the cooler and on the under tray. And I'm gonna go ahead, like I sat here for a while with the car running, gave it revs, held revs at like 2K for a minute, went and looked, and I'm not seeing anything. I even did that diagnostic trick or whatever, and I could see that both of my fans are turning on at high and low speed, so it's not a fan thing. So I'm just gonna go ahead, take it for another drive. Maybe I'm baby monitoring the oil temps too much, and I just need to drive and see what it does. But it's just that the rate that it started going up was a little weird, and that's kind of what concerned me. So let me just go ahead and go for another drive. And I'm gonna try to keep the camera on the temp, so you guys can see. I don't know if this is just odd behavior because of the new thermostat. See, look, it's like these weird jumps, these incremental jumps in temperature, whereas before with the glow shift sandwich plate, it was more, I don't know, consistent. It was a more slow, consistent climb versus these like triple digit jumps. But yeah, let's go for a drive and see. So here's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm 5 houses down, and like that jump from 182 or whatever it was, it's just a steady climb. So again, let me just drive and see what it does. Alright guys, so I'm on a cruise right now that I've done plenty of times before, and I don't want to call it a cruise. It's just a errand that I typically run. And usually by now, oil temp would be somewhere like 220s, 230s. It's been at 206 and holding steady. It hasn't gone past that once yet. The temperature, as you can see, like as soon as I come to a stop, it starts dropping really quickly. So yeah, I guess it's working. I did stop and double check, and that oil that I wiped up has not reappeared. I'm not seeing any signs of a leak. Not from my oil, at least. What I am seeing is coolant coming out of my overflow tank. So that's something else to look into. But yeah, look, we're down to 203 from 206 in just a small time that I've been talking. But yeah, I'd say it works. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on the temps, and as well as keep an eye on the lines for leaks and such. But I think we're good. Alright guys, so that's it for this one. I continued that drive, and the highest the temps got was up to maybe 210, and that was because I really pressed the car. And then as soon as I started cruising again, temps started coming right back down. Again, this is something that if I had done that drive any other day, I would have seen that oil temp get up to 230, even higher. On a hot day, cruising, cruising, I'm just chilling, maybe doing 70. I saw oil temps get up as high as like 255. So far so good. I will take into account that today is a much cooler day than what we typically see here in Florida. It's like 75 right now. And at the extreme levels that I saw oil temps get to, those were like 90 plus days. So I will attribute some of that, but even that short drive that I just did, I've seen my temps get up to like 220, 230, and I didn't even get close to that. So right now I'm happy with that. Like I might have mentioned in our earlier part of the video, I do think that the car is running a little rich, which might be attributing to some of the engine temperature. And then I also don't know kind of what the status is of my cooling system. Right now, just before I left for that drive, I could see that, sorry, I'm like that close. I could see that you can still see coolant there too. I could see that the overflow tank was overflowing itself. So I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if I need to go and source a new radiator cap, start there, or if I need to jump into changing out like the radiator or something. I haven't seen anything anywhere else to indicate a leak from the radiator itself. And I haven't seen any other signs of a coolant leak anywhere, but maybe we'll start with just a radiator cap, see how that acts. I'll clean off the reservoir and see if I still keep getting that overflow. But other than that, guys, that's it. I'm happy with the install. It was relatively cheap. It could have been cheaper if I went with a different sandwich plate and not with the Chase Bays one. But too late for that. It's whatever. That's it. Appreciate you guys being here. Stay tuned for the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And I'll see you guys. Peace.